In 1993, a group of compassionate people from the St. George community saw a need that, at the time, was ignored or overlooked by many.
My name is Pat Shoemaker Glessner, and I'm retired here in St. George and formerly with KSL-TV and also Bonneville International. When I first moved here, there were a group of women that got together because they had discovered that other women were being battered and abused, and no one was doing anything about it. And so we tried to tell people about it, but they wouldn't believe it, not in St. George.
Sometimes culture blinds us to certain undesirable aspects of life, things we may not want to pay attention to. As a result, pioneering individuals needed to rise up and fill the gap.
Lo and behold, all of a sudden, the Chamber of Commerce, everybody stepped in. And we had land donated to us. Our building was built by a wonderful builder here. We got all the donations for it. A beautiful fence was put up. The law enforcement was closed. And we opened the doors to offer a place for these women and the children to live in safety away from the conditions that they were in. And at that time, we were very, very small. But they had a lovely home to go, and they felt very, very safe.
Why is it important to have a place where those living with abuse can find safety? Why do they need Dove Center? It's more than you think.
My name is Zack While. I work for the Washington County Attorney's Office as a prosecutor in that office. The Dove Center offers a safe, protected area in which they can be interviewed, and by them feeling safe, they are able to get full disclosure of exactly what type of abuse occurs, which helps us as prosecution to get the truth and get the story.
The Dove Center offers that safe environment. When someone is experiencing abuse and it feels like the world around them is falling apart, Dove Center is there to lift and strengthen. But those courageous first steps are followed by many steps of change, and those may be the most difficult of all. Think about it. How often do we stumble when we're trying to make a change? The thing about change is it always looks easier from the outside looking in.
As a prosecutor, one of the biggest hurdles that we have is when victims, they get caught in the cycle and they recant or they change their testimony. They want to get back with their abuser through the abuser's manipulation. It's very difficult when we know the seriousness of the abuse, and yet we can't do anything because they come back and they report something completely opposite. It's important for the individuals to seek help, and then once they get help, we document it, and then that way we can preserve the evidence. And so even if they do recant, as a prosecutor, we care about you. Even though you're recanting, we're still going forward with this case.
The Dove Center needs people like Zack, who will continue to help even when the victim is immobilized by fear.
I know a lot of times these kids would come up and they go through so much abuse, and then, years later, they come and say, "You were the voice, all right? You were the person that, stood up," and that makes it all worth it.
The Dove Center needs you, and you too can be the one that helps when no one else will step forward.
The Dove Center needs the community to come together in a variety of ways. It takes a community of partnering agencies to coordinate and collaborate. It doesn't just stop there. It requires our community leaders, our educators, parents, youth group leaders wanting to become part of the solution.
We see domestic violence issues all the time on the news and on the web, but this is Southern Utah. Is it really as big an issue here as it is in other parts of the country?
Numbers indicate domestic violence is up in Utah, and more lives than ever are being lost.
The reality is 1 in 3 women in the nation, 1 in 3 women worldwide, but 1 in 3 women in Utah are affected by domestic violence and dating violence.
How about teenagers? Maybe there's a way to catch the problems early, before they find themselves trapped in an abusive situation.
One of the ways to do that is educating not only about the issues that we experience here in our community, but helping our youth recognize the messages that they're bombarded by, whether it be in the media, Hollywood blockbusters, advertisements, magazine articles, billboards, objectification of women, and the subtle messages that are portrayed in media. That's an opportunity to teach them to speak. That's an opportunity to teach them that they can have a voice, and there will be people to listen, and there will be a community and a system that listens. I want to be a part of breaking that silence.
Is there a way to help members of our community be more than silent observers? There must be something we can do.
Nobody likes to think about an aspect of our community that is negative. Nobody really wants to focus on that. We are taught to look at the positive side of life. And unfortunately, as we do that, to make our lives happier and healthier, we may be turning a blind eye to someone in need. If more people would pay attention to others and what's going on, and if they would let other people know that there are people that care about them and there are resources here in our community. It doesn't have to be silent. It doesn't have to be behind closed doors. You don't have to look away.
So who are the members of our community who are facing abuse? What should we look for?
There are times when you have thought to yourself, something's not quite right there. You have that feeling, a double take, a wonder, what's off here? Maybe take a moment and just think about that. Don't dismiss it as something negative that you don't want to face. Pay attention. People in your congregation at your church service, people that are at your kids' school, the neighbor down the street, the janitor in your building. There might be somebody who needs you.
Domestic violence doesn't just affect women and children. Domestic violence doesn't discriminate by gender or age. Domestic violence doesn't care about your wealth, religion, or social status. If you or someone you know needs help, reach out. Be a friend. Offer support. Call the Dove Center Helpline. They will help you understand how you can break the silence for yourself and for others around you. There is always something you can do.
One of the stories I remember is right at the beginning. There was a young woman that came to us, and her face was just, well, I don't want to describe it to you, but she was a battered woman. She had a little girl, and she was scared to pieces to come there. She was so afraid that he was going to come after her. And he did. But he couldn't get in because of the fence and the combination of things that we had planned. And the law enforcement helped. And he was charged, and all the lawyers and everybody involved in that took care of him. And he came out a better man, and she came out a much better woman, a safe one, and went on and had a wonderful career, and a little daughter did too. And isn't that what it's all about? Changing things, breaking the silence, telling people about what they can do to help others, and in this case, especially women and children.